There was confusion in the restaurant. Madam Chika, the supervisor, had gone mad. Everyone stared in utter disbelief. Adanna stood by the side, knowing that she was the cause of Madam Chika's madness, but she was not going to confess, and she felt no guilt for what she had done to Madam Chika. Why did Adanna do this? Why go to such extents to hurt her supervisor? I am going to tell you a story today, and at the end of the story, you are going to be telling me whether you think what Adanna did was right or wrong. My people, you are welcome to this video. Adanna was a young and promising woman from Ozubulu in Anambra State. Adanna had her primary education in Ozubulu, she had her secondary education in Ozubulu, and for her university education, she was lucky to get a scholarship to Madonna University, Okija, all in Anambra State. After school, due to the tough job market in her country, Adanna couldn't land her dream job. Because of this, she was frustrated and depressed. She moved back to the village after school, but she was not enjoying her life in the village. And one day, she decided to stand up and move to the city of Lagos to go fight for her future. Adanna got to Lagos, but the harsh reality of life struck Adanna in Lagos. She couldn't land the dream job. She even struggled to find where to stay. A friend finally accepted her in her place, and she managed to land a job in a restaurant called Bites Heaven. Adanna was finally happy to have something doing, even though she was just earning a miserly amount of 20,000 naira per month. Adanna resumed work, but she had a tough supervisor. In fact, her supervisor was not just tough, she was very, very toxic. Everything anybody did in the restaurants could not please her. And as Adanna came to the restaurants, it felt like she had an easy prey. She would pick on everything Adanna did. Adanna would do her best, perform all her responsibilities, serve customers. A lot of customers in the restaurant loved Adanna. They loved to be served by Adanna. But her supervisor, Mrs. Chika, could not be pleased. She complained about literally everything. One day, Adanna was on her way to work, but she got to Oshodi and she couldn't find any vehicle to take her to work. There was fuel scarcity. There were a lot of persons stranded trekking to work. Adanna managed to trek to work that day under the hot sun, and she arrived at work at 10 a.m. And Mrs. Chika was not having it. Mrs. Chika rained abuses on her, insulted her family, her generation, said she was not well trained, called her all sorts of names. Adanna broke down in tears. She was so sad and didn't know what to do. She was tired of the toxic work environment, but she had no other job. And she remembered where she came from, and she decided to stay there and put up with whatever it was. One day, a young man walked into the restaurant. And immediately he walked into the restaurant, his eyes locked with Adanna's eyes. He fell in love at first sight. Immediately he sat down. One of Adanna's colleagues, called Esther, came to ask him what he would like to have. But he told Esther that he wanted Adanna to serve him. So Adanna went to the table, asked him what he wanted. He placed his order, and Adanna went to get it ready. And then she came to serve him. As this was happening, Madam Chika stood in the corner and was looking. And she saw where it was heading, and determined to make Adanna's life miserable, she went over to the table and began to harass her. Adanna, wetin you dey do for here? Now wetin I send you do be this? What are you doing here? Why are you here? Why are you standing here? You want to seduce him the same way you seduce other male customers in this place. You have slept with everybody. You think I don't know your parole? You want to jump on top of this one? See, young man, let me talk to you. You see the way you're looking fine? You see this car you came in? By the time this girl is done with you, with this evil curse that is following her from that her stupid village in Anambra, you would not believe the way your life would turn out. you would not believe how emaciated and lean you will look. You will lose all your money. Your life is going to be ruined. I have warned you. I have said all I have to say. Adana was so shocked. Adana could not utter a word. And just as she picked up the young man's plate to clear, the plate fell from her hands and shattered. Immediately it fell. A heavy slap landed on her face from Madam Chika. Stupid girl, Ashawo, you don't break my plate. I go come out from the salary. I dey come out 5,000. Useless girl. Come on, get her from here, idiots. Adana went home that day and she was angry. She had it up to her neck. There was no way she was going to let this one slide. She thought of what she could do, and then she remembered that her auntie Agnes in the village used to patronize one native doctor. Adana had never been a person to believe in native doctors, but she could not imagine how wicked someone could be. She could not imagine that somebody could be so wicked the way Madam Chika was, and she decided to teach Madam Chika a lesson. On a very cold Sunday morning, Adana set out to her village. She arrived her village and she narrated everything to her auntie Agnes and told her auntie Agnes that she wanted to see the native doctor immediately. Auntie Agnes was so shocked because Adana was such a good girl. Adana was a girl who was so forgiving, who used to let things slide, and she knew that this person really offended Adana, and she decided to take Adana to the native doctor called Umborogu. They got to Umborogu's compound and Umborogu asked them what brought them there. Adana narrated everything to Umborogu, and Umborogu told her the implication of what she was about to do.
If this person has truly offended you, she is going to run mad in the next 7 days. But if this person has not offended you and you have brought her here, then you would never be able to conceive. You will never become a mother. Adana, are you ready for this sacrifice?
Yes, I am. And the deed was done. Adana joined the night bus back to Lagos on Sunday, and she arrived Lagos on Monday morning and headed to the restaurant immediately and resumed duty as usual. Madam Chika continued with her wickedness, not knowing what was coming for her in the next few days. It was a Monday morning. Everyone came to work. All of a sudden, Madam Chika started to complain of headache. After a few minutes, she started to say her back was scratching her. After some minutes, she began to sing some funny songs. And before they knew what was happening, Madam Chika was out from the restaurant. The workers at the restaurant contacted her family immediately, and her family began to look for her on the streets of Lagos. They found her under the bridge in Agege and immediately took her home. They took Madam Chika from hospital to hospital, trying to find a solution to her problem, but no doctor seemed to find anything wrong with her. Medically, she was 100% okay, but her health kept on deteriorating. She kept on talking gibberish. She didn't even know where she was, and she didn't even know who she was. Then someone suggested to them that they should visit native doctors, that this was a spiritual problem, and they began to go from shrine to shrine, from village to village, from place to place, and there was still no cure for Madam Chika's madness. 3 years later, one of their relatives who lived in Cotonou visited Nigeria, and he visited Madam Chika's house and saw her state. And then he suggested a pastor he saw on social media. They went to the pastor's church, and it happened to be that the pastor was a powerful man of God. He prayed and prayed and prayed and discovered that Madam Chika's problem started from a worker she had maltreated in her workplace years ago. And he told them that the only solution was for them to look for Adanna and plead for her forgiveness. And so the search for Adanna began. First of all, Madam Chika's family went to the restaurant where they used to work, thinking that Adanna would still be working there. But when they got there, they got the most surprising news. Adanna had resigned 2 months earlier, and Adanna had relocated to America, and no one had her contact. No one knew her social media accounts because she changed her number. Also, they had no information of her hometown, so nobody could find their way to her hometown to contact her family. And so Madam Chika's madness continued. 10 years later, Madam Chika was still mad. All of a sudden, Madam Chika fell terribly ill, and her family knew it was now beyond the madness, and so they took her to the hospital. And to their greatest disappointment, Madam Chika was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure. Her family was already exhausted financially and emotionally. They continued to battle and battle and battle. But sadly, they lost Madam Chika to the cold hands of death. Adanna, on the other hand, had settled into her new life in America. However, she felt a lot of regret anytime she remembered Madam Chika. She saw Madam Chika in her dream almost every night, roaming around the streets mad. She had no peace in her, and so she decided to find solace in the church and confessed all her sins to the pastor. The pastor prayed and asked her to reach out to Madam Chika so that she could find peace in her heart and that God had forgiven her. Adanna tried all she could. She found some of Madam Chika's family members on Facebook, but got the most shocking news. Madam Chika had died after battling with madness for over 10 years and battling with kidney failure for over a month. Adanna felt really sad. She went back to the pastor, who suggested that she should go for counseling and also prayed for her. After months of counseling and therapy, Adanna was able to find her joy and peace back. She met a young man, they fell in love, and they got married. 6 years later, Adanna was in her house with her husband and her 3 kids, reminiscing on her life, reminiscing on the journey so far, thinking of how her life started, thinking of everything, remembering Madam Chika. Madam Chika's story was going to be one thing that would always make her sad forever. And because of this, she decided to imbibe the spirit of forgiveness in her kids. She made sure she always emphasized forgiveness to her kids. She made sure they loved each other and could forgive each other of every offense. She made sure she taught them love. She made sure she imbibed good qualities in them. And she had a happy life with her husband and her kids. My people, what is your takeaway from this story I just told you? It is not everyone you can humiliate. Everybody has a limit. You can push someone and the person would do something that is not in their nature. Another takeaway from this story is that we should always learn to be forgiving. We should always learn to look away. We should always learn to step away and walk away from bad situations. Adanna could have resigned from that restaurant even though she didn't have hope of getting any other job soon. It was toxic. It was not okay for her. It was something that made her go to a native doctor, something that was not in her nature. So she could have walked away, but she chose to go to a native doctor, and it robbed her of her peace of mind for years. It ruined Madam Chika's life. Madam Chika later lost her life to the cold hands of death. And it just didn't turn out well for both parties. Adanna later found peace in life and moved on. But this is a story to everyone out there. There is no gain in wickedness. There is no gain in being toxic. Be nice to everyone. No one knows tomorrow. Adana was later able to get a scholarship and move to America, and her life became better. She was no longer the miserable girl in the restaurant, even though she did something really, really bad. I have said enough. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think? Do you have a Madam Chika in your life? Can you go to the extent which Adana went? What other ways do you think Adana could have handled this? Let me know in the comment section. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, leave a kind comment. Please share this video. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about DERA Narrates. And I am going to see you in my next mind-blowing, jaw-dropping story. Bye-bye.